So now we're going to unbox our bow here. We have the limbs to start with. We're going to open it up, make sure everything looks right. It's as you ordered it. So we have a pair of Axia foam limbs to start. Let's see what we have here. Make sure you have a top and it's the right length and the right poundage. And a bottom limb. Everything looks good. So I'm going to set those to the side. And also in this box, we have a little pack of goodies, some stickers, a keychain, and another important thing is the little manual here. If you flip up to that front page, you will have a QR code. If you scan this, it will have the Hoyt Owner's Manual, and that is going to help you with setting up your bow, and it's also going to cover some of the topics that we will talk about today in this video. Next, we're going to take a look at our riser. So I have next box here. This is a Formula XD left-handed riser, 25-inch. It will also come with some Vertitune plates, which we can get to later. It has also some weights for the limb pockets, and again, that owner's manual with the QR code. And here we have our riser and a riser bag. Now open it up. Beautiful purple color. And everything looks good. It has all the parts. It's left-handed, so it looks like we are ready to set it up. Now we're going to start with mounting all your accessories on the riser. So I'm going to take my riser here. I always start with the sight. So I'm going to I have a Excel Achieve XP sight here, and I'm going to start by putting this mount on. So there are 2 screws that come with it. You can either set it on the front half of the riser or the back half. I usually go for the back half. That's just my personal preference. So I'm going to set it down here. It'll be a little easier. And always have your Allen wrenches. That's super helpful when you're putting all your accessories on. So we're just going to screw these guys on here. Make sure each screw hole is lined up with the screws. All right, so that is all done. Now we're going to put our sight on the bow. So there's a bunch of different holes that it can stop at on the mount. I usually go to the 3rd hole. This is kind of more so personal preference. I know for a lot of young archers, if they're shooting outdoors at a long distance and they're on a lower poundage, they tend to put the sight all the way in because that gives you a little bit more distance. But since I am fully grown and consider myself strong, I will put it on the 3rd hole. Next is the clicker. So some people mount their clicker on the sight, others mount it on the riser here. I like to mount mine on the sight, so I have mine just right up against the riser right now. I'm going to move it out a little bit because just knowing my arrow length, it's going to be out a little bit farther in front of the riser. So this is the slicker clicker, which you can buy from Lancaster Archery Supply. It's really nice for kids who are just starting and are changing their draw length a lot as they're growing. It can easily slide on the sight bar as you cut your arrows down or get new arrows that are a different spine. You might have to start with them longer and then eventually cut them shorter. So we're going to tighten that back down about there. All right. Next, I'm going to put my sight aperture on. I use a homemade aperture, but the part where it connects onto the sight is made by Excel. Now I'm going to put the clicker on my slicker clicker. This is the Biter Hoyt clicker. I like it because it's very quiet when I shoot it. I don't like a super loud snap when I hear the click. I like something a little bit softer, so I'm just going to mount that onto my slicker clicker here. I'll show you guys. Okay. Right now I just have a rough estimate for where my clicker's at, but once we actually finish setting up the bow and shoot, we'll adjust it more to my arrow length and my full draw length. Next, we're going to put our rest plate on the bow. So with a XD riser, the Vertitune plates come with a low, a medium, and a high. And they also usually have this extension, which if you put your clicker on the riser, the clicker will rest and make the click on the edge of this plate. Since I opt to use a slicker clicker, I'm going to use the bare bow plate because it doesn't have the extra extension because bare bows don't use a clicker. And it just makes it so I have my clicker out here, and then I have my rest plate that doesn't have that extension on the other side. So now that we have the Vertitune plate on the bow and our rest on the Vertitune plate, we're going to put the back side on. So you're going to take this screw here and put it in whichever hole you're not going to put your plunger in. So I use the front hole for my plunger, so I'm going to put this screw in the back side hole. So just make sure I line it up. So I'm going to screw that in all the way, make it sure it's nice and tight, and we have our rest set up. Now we're going to put the plunger in this rest hole here. I use the biter plunger that also has the nice little Hoyt logo on it. I've used biter products for a long time, and I just really like their stuff. It's easy to use, easy to tune, so we're going to screw it into that hole there, and once we get shooting and get everything lined up, we will adjust our center shot, which is also done on the plunger as well as other parts of tuning. Now that we have all the accessories mounted on the outside of the bow, there is one more thing that people, if they would like, can do. These are weights for the XD riser that go inside of the limb pocket. So if you like a little bit more mass weight on your bow but don't want to put it on the stabilizers, you can put it on the inside here, and you can stack 2 in one pocket or 1 in each. Now it's time to put the limbs on the bow. So I have my 2 Axia foam limbs here. I'm going to slide this one into the top pocket. It should fit and you hear a click. And then same thing with the bottom. Make sure it's labeled the bottom, and that'll slide into the pocket and click. Next thing is to set up your string. I use America's Best Bow strings. I've been shooting them for the last few years, and they always come in exactly how I order them, and they have a whole bunch of fun colors and different materials for you to try out. And so with the string, there comes 2 different loop sizes. One will be a little bit larger than the other. The larger one goes on the top limb. So I'm going to slide that over the top limb here, and then the smaller one will hook on the tip of the limb on the bottom. Then next I will string it. Now it's time to finally string the bow. So I have a homemade stringer here, but you can also use the Hoyt bow stringer or any one that you have maybe from your local shop. So there are 2 ends of this, one end for the top limb and one end for the bottom. I'm going to start by putting the one on for the top limb. I'm just going to hook it around the limb tip there, and then making sure the string is straight, I'll put bottom side on the bottom limb tip. Now I'm going to stretch the string as far as I can up. I'm going to put my feet pretty far apart so I have a lot of leverage to pull. And now I'm going to pull both straight up. I'm going to slide the string towards the limb tip, make sure it's in the groove securely, and lower the bow down. Now once you're done, you'll double check, make sure the string is in the middle of each limb groove, and you should be set to go. The last thing to go on the bow is stabilizers. So I use 2 sidebars and a front bar. I shoot Conquest Archery. These are the Smackdown 500 bars. They're a little bit thinner and a little bit lighter, so they're really nice when it's windy outside, and they're really good for stabilization. And I also use the Biter V-Box silencers. They make the bow super quiet, and I really like how they take a lot of vibration out as well, because you don't want a lot of shakiness and stiffness in your shot, so that helps a lot with that. And I use the Biter tungsten weights. I shoot 5 ounces on each sidebar and I think 10 on the front. So we have all our bars here, and now it's just time to mount them, and the bow will be fully set up until we have to tune. So here I have my stabilizers in my bow. Now I'm going to put them on the bow. Some people like to use a mount that screws onto the riser. I just have a little bit of threading there and my bars on a separated mount. It's kind of up to personal preference. I like this just because it's really set and it has no way to come loose or anything like that. I sometimes see a lot of people like adjusting their sidebars because they come loose, but this for me just works best because I know it's going to be the exact same every single time, and it's a fixed angle. So now we're going to put my sidebars over this piece of threading here, and then I'm going to screw my stabilizer on top. And once it's tightened down, I will straighten out my bars. And then I just usually look down the back of the riser and straighten them out as I need. And they're set to go.